Prince Michael of Sealand. The man behind one of the world's most unusual sovereign nations. Good evening, everyone. Today, I'm going to talk about Prince Michael of Sealand, the second-generation leader of one of the world's most unusual sovereign nations. Before we begin, there is an important point about terminology. The term micronation has been widely used to describe Sealand over the years. However, Sealand is now discontinuing the use of this term because of the political connotations attached to it. Instead, we refer to our community as a sovereign nation. With that in mind, let's look at the remarkable story of Prince Michael and the nation he has helped lead. Who is Prince Michael? Prince Michael Bates was born in 1952 in Essex, England. His childhood was far from ordinary. At just 14 years old, he joined his father, Roy Bates, on a former military platform known as Ruff's Tower. On the 2nd of September 1967, Roy Bates declared the platform to be the Principality of Sealand. From that moment, Michael became part of the family's extraordinary project of independence. He spent his teenage years helping with life on the fort and became closely involved in Sealand's development and defense. Sealand, a nation on a sea fort. To understand Prince Michael, we first need to understand Sealand itself. Ruff's Tower was originally constructed by Britain during World War II as a sea fort. It stands in the North Sea, approximately 7 miles from the English coast. In 1967, Roy Bates declared the platform to be the Principality of Sealand. Since then, Sealand has developed many of the characteristics associated with a nation, including its own flag, coat of arms, currency, passports, titles and national identity. Sealand's sovereignty has been disputed and is not formally recognized by the United Kingdom or by most states around the world. However, Sealand points to instances of de facto recognition and dealings with its authorities as evidence that its status has been acknowledged in practice. Sealand also maintains that it meets the customary international law criteria traditionally associated with statehood, including the criteria set out in the 1933 Montevideo Convention: a permanent population, defined territory, government, and capacity to enter into relations with other states. From this perspective, Sealand considers itself a sovereign nation regardless of formal diplomatic recognition, particularly because recognition is ultimately a political act by other states rather than the sole basis on which statehood is determined. At the heart of Sealand's identity are ideas of liberty, self-determination and persistence. From teenager to prince, Michael's journey began at a very young age. In 1952, he was born in Essex. In 1966, at the age of 14, he joined his father on Ruff's Tower. A year later, in 1967, Roy Bates declared the Principality of Sealand. Michael then became part of the family's day-to-day life on the platform. But Sealand's history would soon become much more dramatic. The 1968 legal test. In 1968, Michael was involved in an incident involving a British vessel near Sealand. Warning shots were fired, and the case eventually reached a British court. The court held that it lacked jurisdiction because the platform was outside Britain's then 3-mile territorial limit. The Bates family regarded this decision as an important moment in Sealand's history and as support for their position concerning the platform's status. The case became an important part of Sealand's national story and its continuing argument for self-determination. The 1978 invasion. Perhaps the most dramatic episode in Michael's life occurred in 1978. While Roy and Joan Bates were away, German and Dutch plotters arrived by helicopter and attempted to take control of Sealand. Michael was captured and held hostage for several days. But the story did not end there. Roy and Michael eventually returned by helicopter and retook the fort. The incident became one of the defining moments in Sealand's history and established Michael as a central figure in the nation's survival. Leadership after Prince Roy. In 2012, Prince Roy died. Michael then continued the family leadership of Sealand, becoming the second-generation leader of the nation. Since then, he has helped bring Sealand into a modern era. Michael has promoted Sealand through interviews, books, memorabilia, sports and digital initiatives. The idea of Sealand has also expanded beyond the physical platform itself, developing into a global community of people who identify with its values and national identity. In 2024, Sealand introduced an e-citizenship program, extending the community's reach beyond the North Sea and into the digital world. Why does Prince Michael matter? Prince Michael's story is interesting not simply because he holds the title of prince. His life raises a much bigger question. What makes a nation a nation? Sealand offers a fascinating case study in sovereignty, independence, and self-determination. Its history challenges conventional ideas about territory, borders, and national identity. For Sealand, the central idea is that a nation can be built around a community and a shared commitment to principles such as freedom and self-determination. Michael represents the connection between Sealand's founding generation and its future. The Sealand motto is "E mer libertas, from the sea, freedom." This phrase captures the principle that has remained at the heart of Sealand's story. Key dates. To summarize Michael's story. 1952, Michael Bates is born in Essex. 1966, at 14, he joins his father on Ruff's Tower. 1967, Roy Bates declares the Principality of Sealand. 1968, a legal case tests British jurisdiction around Sealand. 1978, Michael is captured during an attempted takeover, and the Bates family retakes the fort. 2012, Prince Roy dies, and Michael continues the family leadership. 2024, Sealand launches its e-citizenship program. 2026, Sealand continues to develop as a sovereign nation and global community. Conclusion. In conclusion, Prince Michael of Sealand has lived an extraordinary life. From joining his father on a sea fort as a teenager, to becoming involved in a legal confrontation, surviving an attempted takeover, and eventually becoming Sealand's second-generation leader, his story is unlike that of almost any other national leader. Sealand's story is ultimately a story about freedom, sovereignty, and self-determination. And Prince Michael has played a central role in carrying that story from its beginnings on a World War II sea fort into the modern world. Sealand is more than the physical structure in the North Sea. It is a community, a national identity, and a continuing expression of the principle of self-determination. And its motto says it best. E mer libertas, from the sea, freedom. Thank you. Reply forward.